Hello, I'm Todd Sheldon. I'm the head football coach and head track coach at Mandan High School.
Thank you all for listening here today. We've been at this for a minute. You and I are third year here, sometimes in the big group, sometimes follow-up conversations, sometimes video sessions, summer, in-season, all the things. You've invited me out to practice at least once. What do you think, man? What are we doing here?
You know, I think the biggest takeaway that I get personally is that the hard questions get asked. And the hard questions elicit responses that I don't necessarily like about myself. So you get, I want to defend actions, I want to rationalize actions, and I want to complain about things, which I feel like most people do. But you can take a deep breath and go, now I can actually address the question. And sometimes the questions are critically important, and sometimes the questions end up being, a superficial fix to what we got going on.
And so those hard questions, where are those coming from?
Most of those are coming from you.
Fair enough. That's what I thought you were saying.
Yeah.
So with those hard questions, how do you turn a hard question into a learning moment for you or your staff?
Biggest part is starts with a reflection and just doing a lot of reflection about how I can ask the questions to the staff to get honest feedback about what we have happening within any one of our programs, and how that reflection can turn itself into positive implementation of new practices.
Fantastic. Love that answer of the idea of reflecting and the idea of thinking. And one of the pieces we've talked about is the idea that a lot of coaches, we're not so good at reflecting, where we look at different options. We go down this path called rumination, where we just sit and spin and we get more frustrated along the way. Do you see that distinction with the kids, with the student athletes too, where sometimes the hard questions do need to be asked, and how do we prompt that and teach them?
I can give the specific part of that is we have athletes who we have called hiders, and practice starts and they go hide in the back, and that bugged the crap out of me. That they would just come there and sit in the back and not participate, and I would more ruminate on that activity that those kids were engaged in versus finding out why they're here, what they're doing, what we could potentially do to address that issue, and being reflective about the athletes' needs and what they're really getting out of being a participant, mostly in football in that case. But that's a huge change in how we address athletes that are there for other reasons than playing football.
And right there is the really important part, is that all the coaches, everybody involved in sport, we love our sport, right? Or we wouldn't be doing it now. And sometimes it's hard to take that step back and say, well, the hiders might be here not for football performance reasons. They might be here for social reasons. They might sometimes even need to just avoid something else. And you know what? Being a hider on a football team, it's not the worst thing for some of our high school age kids. So finding a way for coaches to really meet those kids where they're at and show them that it's okay to be part of this, even if you're not first tier or trying to play in college or any of that. It's still, you can be here. It's okay.
Yeah, definitely. The aspect of keeping those kids involved, and some of those kids have become, over the last year where you've had more positive interactions with them, have changed from being a kid that I'm only here to whatever other reason it was happened to be, and now they're like, well, I might as well try because people care about why I'm here. So it's a different approach, and I think our level of how we interact with them is much more positive.
And how do you see that come back from the kids? Do you have an example? We don't need a name, but do you have an example of where that kid puts forth that little more effort and then you see something more come out of them?
It's particularly noticeable in sophomores. Sophomore year is a hard year for football because it's the first year that you're not grade level. You're going to be a part of a JV team or the high school team, and that's who you're going to play with. So fragments of your group are going to go over here, and fragments of your group are going to go over here, and then you might not be in either one of those spots really. So it's kind of navigating where you're at. So when those kids are approached with the idea that they're important to the coaching staff and they're important to the team as a whole. There's probably 4 of them that ended up playing in a playoff game at the end of this last season. So you're like, those kids become incredibly important to our success as football, but I don't know if they would have tried hard enough to be in that position without the constant discussions.
And one of the really unique parts here as we wrap this idea up is we want this, and we know it's going to happen, where coaches have a plan and they put that plan into place, and with just that little bit more effort, the kid gets more out of it, right? It's not a massive overhaul of what you were doing.
Oh, no.
It's a little tweak here and there, and then that more effort from the coach, improved processes or however we want to say it, the kid gets more out of it, and then the kid puts forth more effort, and then as a coach, we get that cycle, right?
Yep.
Where kid got more, puts more effort, coach gives more because kid got more effort, and we just have this cycle.
Yeah, that's exactly where it's at. The kids feed off of the coach's responses to what they're doing, and then we feed off the response that the kid gives back to the coach, and it's kind of steamrolled a little bit, especially for this year's group of sophomores. We really feel like those kids got more out of it, per se, than the previous 2 classes, because I think we were just a little better at that.
Professional development.
Yeah.
We get better.
Yep.
We keep trying to build that better mousetrap. We keep trying to help that for the kids. Todd, thank you for coming in today. Grateful, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you.